You don't know what was happening in this photo. You don't know what happened after.
The first official trailer with footage from season 2 of 13 Reasons Why has arrived, so let's break it down. Wakey wakey eggs and bakey everyone, Lisa here, and I apologize if I look super tired because I just woke up and started working on this video at 8 a.m. which for me is super early. But I woke up to comments from a few of you telling me that the official trailer for season 2 of 13 Reasons Why is officially launched, and oh man, it's intense, and you know I couldn't stay in bed. I had to get up and talk about it with you guys. On first viewing of this trailer, I was kind of like this, because there's just so much happening. It was just like, oh my gosh. And the song just added more intensity, talking about guns, and we definitely see guns in this trailer. But then I went to a different thought. I was like, oh man, whoever went through the trouble of taking all these Polaroids is spending a ton of money, because that film is not cheap. It is like 28 bucks a pop for just 8 pictures. Of course, I know that's not the point of this, but you know what? I was right. It seems like these Polaroids belong to Bryce, who is rich and can definitely afford to just throw Polaroids around. We learn in the trailer he's the one who actually took the Polaroids, or most of them, but who gave them to Clay? That's the question. The trailer gives us a look at our characters facing the aftermath of Hannah's death, and yes, Catherine Langford is still present as Hannah, and it seems more indeed like she is in vision form. We also have our first footage of Justin in this trailer, and we do see a shot of Alex here, but we don't really get much more of him than like a quick glimpse. However, I want you guys to know he is alive and well and going through physical therapy for his leg and stuff, and you can check out a whole video about Alex's fate. I'll link it in the description, and then I'll link it at the very end of this video, but I did a whole thing because the character's Instagram gave us some clues and confirmed that Alex is alive. But back to the other train of thought. Basically, it seems like we're going to deal with a lot of our characters recovering after what happened in season 1, and a big thing about this season is going to be exposing what seems like the rape culture at Liberty High among the star athletes. Yeah, it is a very relatable, unfortunately, topic that's been in the headlines for the past, I don't know, years. You know what? Let's just go ahead and break this trailer down section by section. I'm going to talk about it in order, so some questions I posed may actually get answered by me a minute later because of a later portion in the trailer.
It felt like this whole thing was going to be over. But it's not.
First, we see a shot of Hannah's locker with notes and flowers on it, and Clay saying, I thought this whole thing was going to be over, but it's not. And he's looking kind of forlorn walking down the hall, where he then passes by Bryce and exchanges a look. Bryce obviously looks pissed, most likely because of their big fight in season 1, where Clay got Bryce to confess to raping Hannah on tape. And of course, if those tapes have been heard by the police and, well, all the others, we know Bryce is either in trouble or he is not a happy camper.
How far does the dial go?
What are you gonna do about that?
We then have Clay opening his locker and a Polaroid showing what looks like another school athlete at a party grinding on a girl, but for me, it doesn't look like it's Bryce. On the back, it says Hannah wasn't the only one, and now we know what that means when they've been tweeting that out. Hannah wasn't the only one. It means she wasn't the only rape victim. Hannah then appears to Clay in the hallway and says, "What are you going to do about that?" Moving on, we have Tony burning a letter at night, and he looks pretty concerned or guilty of something. Why is Tony trying to get rid of this letter? Is it a letter from Hannah? Does that letter have the actual truth on it, and maybe Tony didn't share that part of the truth, so now he's kind of guilty? He knows exactly what led to really her suicide. We know his poster says the truth hurts, so he gets the crap beat out of him because someone knows probably that he knew the truth, or finds out that he knew the truth. And in Ryan's poster, it's Tony whispering into Ryan's ear, and it says the truth will be shared. So I'm guessing Tony probably tells Ryan what he knew, and then Ryan goes and shares it, and that causes Tony to feel the repercussions of that. Is this letter from Hannah? Unfortunately, I can't really make out any of the words on the letter.
Oh, hi, Mark.
In math class, we see those pictures Jessica was holding up in the photo from the child that basically call her a lying drunk slut that no one's going to believe her when it comes to pressing charges against Bryce or speaking out about what happened to her. It's probably going to be like that whole victim shaming thing that we see so often where it's like, oh, she was asking for it. We see Justin looking sad sitting in the hallway of a house, and it kind of looks more like Clay's dad in the doorway than Seth, so why is Justin at Clay's house? The harassment by the athletes continues as Jessica and newcomer in this season, Nina, played by Samantha Logan, are in the cafeteria as Scott, played by Brandon Butler, walks by and makes a finger gun at them, basically giving off the whole "you're dead for what you did" feeling. When Samantha's casting was announced, her character Nina was described as being a successful track athlete who's hiding a secret, and I'm guessing that secret is the same as Jessica's and Hannah's. Next, we have Clay, who's having trouble sleeping, Ryan, who is having writer's block. Some jocks are definitely still bullying Tyler, so I'm guessing he chose to maybe not do the school shooting, or maybe just not quite yet at this point in the trailer.
You don't know what was happening in this photo. You don't know what happened after.
There are tons of Polaroids from parties that basically look like they confirm that these athletes assault on a regular basis. I shouldn't keep saying athletes because it's not necessarily all athletes hanging out with Bryce. It's Bryce and whoever his friends are that think it's fun to document what they do at parties and what they're doing to these girls. We see who looks like Clay, Sherry, and Justin staring at all these photos, and it sounds like Sherry saying, you don't know what happened in this photo and you don't know what happened after. And there's a note on the back saying he won't stop. Now with those photos, you obviously don't get the whole story. Like they said, the photos may look like the girl is having a great time with the guy and they're drinking and everything's fine, but you don't know what happened right before. Did someone roofie that drink? Or right after? She passed out and that's when they were taking advantage. We don't know the whole story, and that's what the person who's exposing these Polaroids wants people to figure out.
We're all in this together now.
Don't you know about what goes on at this school?
This is proof of who they all are.
The truth doesn't always make things right.
Justin's definitely a changed man, and he's ditched his Letterman jacket for a hoodie and what looks like the face of justice. After everything in season 1 and his encounter with Bryce at the end, it's definitely looking like that's the way he's going, and he's going to team up with Clay to figure out how to get justice for Hannah and Jessica. We see Bryce with a cut on his face like he got into a fight, and he's saying, we're all in this together now. And no, it's not this kind of we're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
He is in a locker room in this scene, so it definitely seems like he is getting his jock buddies to band together about, you know, the ones who may or may not be guilty with him. The next shot shows him bumping fists with Zach, and they're trying to make us think that Zach would be on Bryce's side and that he's saying this line to Zach, but they're completely two different scenes. But Zach has heard the tapes and he knows the truth and he knows what's right, so he's probably torn between sticking with his boys and doing what is right this season. Could he be the one who exposed all these Polaroids? Because he would obviously know what Bryce's parties were like, what Bryce is like being on the team, what goes on there. But he also still had that soft spot for Hannah and probably still wants some kind of justice for her. So could he be the good guy who leaked all the photos? Then we've got Mr. Porter keeping a close eye in the halls. Sherry telling him,
Don't you know about what goes on at this school?
and I'm thinking he clearly doesn't, but maybe he'll learn his lesson this season. And as she says that, we see a shot of Bryce giving Jessica one of those chilling smiles. Ooh. There's then a shot of Clay and someone sliding one of the Polaroids of a guy across the table saying this is proof of who they all are. Then we go to Clay and Jessica, and she says the truth doesn't always make things right. This seems like Clay trying to say to her, you know, we've got your back, we've got these Polaroids or whatever, but maybe she feels like that's not going to help her case at all. We already know her truth seems to be out there, but no one's really believing her, and her life has just become more of a mess. And
It's gonna keep happening. It doesn't stop.
then we have someone breaking into someone's house. Is this Clay? Justin? Someone in a black hoodie, which a lot of characters seem to wear. We then have a shot of what looks like Tyler and the new character Cyrus, played by Bryce Cass, running, but they don't look like they're the ones breaking in that we saw in the second before that. What are they running from? Cyrus is described as an edgy, cynical mischief maker who serves as an unexpected champion of the downtrodden, so I'm guessing that his main ally in this season is Tyler. In the locker room, Zach tells Clay it's going to keep happening and it doesn't stop. And then we see Clay have a bag put over his head and surrounded by a group of guys. So is Zach referring to the assaults on the girls at the party, or is he referring to Clay getting beat up and that's just gonna keep happening and happening? Or just everything, this whole cycle, it's gonna keep happening. Next up is a quick shot of Montgomery, who has his face beaten up. Who did he get in a fight with? Jessica's walking through a store crying. We see Bryce at his locker, and it seems like the character Chloe, played by Ann Winter, who is the new it girl and head cheerleader, is his girlfriend, as she's left him some love notes in his locker. She's also the girl in the first teaser where it showed her passed out next to Bryce in one of those Polaroids. Now, while Jessica has had things plastered all over school about her, Bryce also has, as he has rapist spray painted on his locker.
There is nothing left worth having except justice for our daughter.
When it comes to the trial, there's a lot of support for Hannah. We hear Mrs. Baker tell Mr. Baker that there's nothing left worth having except justice for our daughter. Now, there's been theories that Mrs. Baker's quest for justice has caused her and Mr. Baker to divorce, judging from the kind of for sale signs in the other teaser. For me, this little clip makes me believe it a bit more. We then get a glimpse of the trial with Bryce on the stand trying to look all put together and noble with his suit and glasses. Clay and Tony are watching Bryce on the stand, and we see Mr. Porter slamming Bryce against a wall, which I don't think is allowed in school. Justin standing outside in what looks like his suit for trial with a bruised cheek, holding a note that says, "You talk, you die." So we know for sure what side Justin is on. Whoever's sending the notes, it's different than the person sending these Polaroids. One side, it's like, hey, you better not say a word at this trial. The other's like, hey, here's the truth about what's really going on to back up what's going on in the trial. We also have Bryce and his goons walking through the hall like they own the school. Our next section, we have another ambulance appearance, which is not a good sign. It's kind of hard to tell who is looking on at the ambulance. I think it may be Clay. Could it possibly, for some reason, be Bryce? Kind of looks more like Clay, but it's definitely hard to tell who also is inside of that ambulance. Clay has also teamed up with newcomer Cyrus, and they're definitely doing some spying at night. Zach is looking good and putting his concentration into baseball. Maybe that's what he's trying to do instead of pay attention to what's going on with Bryce and all that. We have a shot of what looks like Clay possibly running after what looks like Tyler in an alley and tackling him. Tyler looks like he's holding a duffel bag. Could this be Clay stopping Tyler from doing something dumb when it comes to, the guns that he's been hiding? We have Bryce and Chloe engaging in activity that looks consensual, but that doesn't mean that every time it happened, it was. And if Chloe was assaulted at some point and decides to go after Bryce, I could see how he would try to flip that whole situation on her as well to try to remain innocent. Tony has taken up boxing with his trainer Caleb. Tony and Ryan look to be fighting or exchanging harsh words. Mr. Porter is crying while looking at a silhouette of what seems like Hannah. We have Chloe walking down the hall, and this looks like a different kind of Chloe, as she looks more somber, so I'm thinking that she may come around and switch over to the justice side by season's end.
I can't count on anyone else anymore. I have to do this myself.
You don't.
No one's gonna get justice for her.
We have Clay and Tyler in the woods with guns getting in some target practice, which has me worried. Don't do that, Clay. Guns are not the answer. Next, we see Clay talking to a few people saying, I can't count on anyone else anymore. I have to do this myself. Justin then says, you don't, and Clay responds with, no one is going to get justice for her. There's then this kind of bang sound, but I don't think it sounds like a gunshot. I think it sounds just more of like a sound effect for transition for a big bang, not the gunshot type of bang. I guess we'll find out, right? Because we then see Clay holding a gun and his hand is kind of shaking, and Hannah then is standing before him crying. Did Clay just go too far with things? When Hannah said, what are you going to do about it? I don't think that this is what she meant. She wants justice, but not in that way. Is this shot related to the earlier shot of what looked like Clay watching someone be taken away in an ambulance? As we get closer to the end, we have some quick shots that show Bryce taking a Polaroid of Scott and another guy cozying up to Sherry, who definitely looks uncomfortable, and it hints that she is also a victim, and it will explain why her attitude and wardrobe seem different when she's confronting Mr. Porter earlier in the trailer. This also confirms that Bryce is the one who took all these Polaroids at the party, so who stole his collection of Polaroids? We have Mrs. Baker drinking some wine while still trying to figure out what happened to Hannah, and she's got Hannah's piece of paper on her detective board there that's got a bunch of names crossed off and circled. Mrs. Baker's note next to it says, "What is the connection with the removed names? Why crossed out?" We know the circle names are of the people that got the tapes. Crossed off names include some characters we met like Skye, those jerks Pratters and Montgomery, and some others who may have actually popped up in season 1 but we didn't really learn a lot about them, who maybe we'll see in season 2. But what did they do or not do that even made them candidates for Hannah's tape in the first place? We know like why Monty and Pratters would be on there, but what about Skye? Jessica isn't the only one being bullied. The baker's store has been vandalized. We see Clay and Justin finding something in a shed. The baseball team all pumped up. We then see an interesting shot. It's Zach, Ryan, Courtney, Alex with his cane, Clay, Justin, and Tony in the lobby of the police station. So who are they getting up to see? I'm kind of guessing it's Sherry, since Sherry's poster had the Polaroid showing her standing against a lineup background. And then her Instagram story that we saw in the 13 Reasons Why Instagram yesterday. If you missed those, there's a link down in the description. But it showed her saying from one jail to another. The another being Liberty High. The only other main characters that got tapes that are missing from this scene are, obviously Bryce, but also Marcus, Jessica, Tyler, and Mr. Porter. Is it one of those characters that they're watching? Oh hey, back to that whole school shooting possibility. We end up seeing Tyler and Cyrus walking into school with a huge duffel bag, which again suggests the theory. We get our first look at Bryce and his parents in another scene, and of course Bryce looks like he's receiving some kind of baseball award. Oh, and we get our answer as to who beat up Monty. It seems like it was Tony. There's a few more quick shots of Bryce looking mad, someone I'm guessing is Clay falling off their bike, Jessica running outside looking worried, and then we get Clay face to face with Hannah screaming at her, and then the song being played in the background of the trailer leaves us with the words, "How far does the dark go?" which is kind of eerie and seems to be one of the themes this season. Just how far will our characters go for justice? Will this darkness end up driving them way too far, that they end up doing something horrible that they can't even take back, that makes them almost as bad as the person that carried out the horrible act in the first place? It poses the question, how far do you go and what is and isn't worth it? And that wraps up what we saw in this trailer. This season definitely looks like it's going to be intense, and I kind of don't know what to make of it. But I know I'll obviously be tuning in and will probably be binge watching this entire season. Overall, we have someone taking Bryce's Polaroids and exposing them, but just who isn't? We aren't quite sure what shots in the trailer are flashbacks and what is the present. Could it possibly be Chloe? Is it one of Bryce's teammates? Maybe Zach? What's the deal with Clay and this gun? Did he actually shoot someone? Are Tyler and Cyrus actually going to end up shooting anybody? What kind of justice overall will be served? All I know is that there's a lot to think about and simmer on, so hit me up in the comments and let's do that together. Let me know all your thoughts on this trailer and any new theories you have. What do you think about the direction of this season? Do you think any justice will be served, or will some of the characters just take it too far? I've made a bunch of other 13 Reasons Why videos over the past few days, so if you want to see my breakdown of the character posters, what's going on with Alex, and as well as what's going on with the characters' Instagrams, not the actors' Instagrams, but the characters' Instagrams, you can find those all around my head. Be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up if you like what you see. I'll be back here talking about 13 Reasons Why news as it happens, and that's pretty much it for now. I'm still really tired. I'm gonna go take a nap after I walk my dog. But I'm Lisa. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you again real soon.